like to do a video on marginal product and marginal cost and how diminishing returns links all together to cause all those lovely shapes. So the takeaway is diminishing returns causes marginal product to fall. So that's really important to remember. So be sure to write that down. Marginal product falling then causes marginal cost to rise. And the equation to remember that is marginal cost is your change in total costs divided by your marginal product. So that's what we're going to look at today. I'm going to show you exactly how that happens. Here I have a definition of marginal product to get us started. Marginal product, you might see it summarized as MP. You could also see it summarized as MPP, and it means the additional product generated by an additional input to the company. So I'm going to use just labor, just a really simple example. There's 6 employees in this company, and it's a pizza company. They're making pizzas. And the first employee adds 20 pizzas to the business. The second employee adds a little tiny bit more, 22. And just by the way, I did make it very clear, you always plot marginal products kind of as you go between employees. So the next one, 25 pizzas, I would plot that between employee 2 and employee 3. So that's marginal product. How many pizzas are added to the company because of the efforts of this employee 1, employee 2, employee 3. And typically we get a slightly upward sloping marginal product curve. Then it goes down, and the point when it starts to go down, we call that diminishing returns. You might hear this diminishing marginal returns or diminishing returns to labor, something like this. And that occurs when you hire the 4th worker, your marginal product starts to fall, or it happens to the 3rd worker. Okay, great. So that's marginal product. That's typically what it looks like. And diminishing returns is that fall in that marginal product curve. And that occurs because there's too many workers being added here. Imagine this pizza restaurant, there's only one kitchen, perhaps there's one oven, and after 3 chefs, somebody's already rolling out the dough, somebody's already putting the toppings on the pizza, somebody's already also watching out for the oven. There's not much more the 4th, the 5th, the 6th workers could do, and they might be quite inconvenient working in such a small kitchen sharing that space. So let's see how this links to marginal cost. So here I have your definitions. Marginal cost, the addition to total cost generated by producing an extra unit of the good or service. And you are going to see that when marginal product is increasing, so that was before that 4th worker, marginal costs are going to fall. After that 4th worker, when the marginal product is decreasing, marginal costs increase. So let's take a look. So I've got a table, and this is a really fun table. I've got the same example with the 6 employees, and I'm still talking about how many pizzas they add to the business. Employee 1 is still adding 20, we drew that 20. Employee 2 is still adding 22. So that's the same. Here, we're just going to work out the marginal cost. But to get to marginal costs, we need to go through quite a few steps. So to work out marginal cost, I need to first work out the total cost. And to get to total cost, I need to add up fixed costs and variable costs. Let me first add fixed costs, and let me add variable costs, and we can get these to equal total costs. Then I can work out marginal costs. And in this really simple example, I chose not to have any fixed costs. So that's 0 in this example. In this example, very simple again, workers are just paid 10. And that's all the costs in this business, so I've included them as a variable cost, and that means the total variable costs is 10 when there's 1 worker, 20 when there's 2 workers because 2 of them are getting paid 10, 30 when there's 3 workers, and so on. So that's how I got that. Add your fixed costs, add your variable costs together, and then you get your total costs, which is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, which is exactly the same as expected because these workers are all being paid 10. And now that we have the total cost, now we can work out marginal cost. The change in the total cost is what? So as you go from 0 to 1 employees, your cost goes from 0 to 10. So the change in total costs is going to be 10 divided by the change in the quantity produced. And here I have a column that's been tracking the quantity produced. So the companies had to spend 10, but they're getting a change in the cost of 10, and their change in pieces produced is 20. So 10 divided by 20 then becomes 0.5, and that's how I've got that one. For the next set of units, the cost changes by 10 again, and the quantity changes by 22. In production was 22. If you do 10 divided by 22, you get 0.45. And that's how that marginal cost happens. And again, one more time, next set of outputs, as you go from 2 to 3 employees, you're going from 20 costs to 30 costs. So the change in costs is 10. And then the change in the output is the difference between 42 and 67, which is 25. If you do 10 divided by 25, you get 0.4. And that's how you work out marginal cost. And you keep going through this, going through the whole table. Have a go at doing this. This is great stuff. And that's how you get your marginal cost curve. So be sure to write down this equation. That's a super great equation. Personally, I prefer to use the second one. I think that just makes it a little bit more clear with what's going on. It's the exact same thing as you've done. The change in quantity produced is the same thing as saying the marginal product. And if you were to plot total costs, it looks like this graph there on the left. It increases, but it slows down in the beginning. And then it starts to go faster and faster and faster. So, as marginal cost is your change in total costs divided by your marginal product. If marginal product increases, but workers are paid the same, so add the same to your costs, marginal costs fall. And that's what we looked at in the table. So refer to the notes and you will see that happen. Total costs increase, but slower. And if marginal product decreases, but workers are paid the same, you get the same increase in total costs, but less quantity. So that's going to mean that plotting it on your graph, marginal cost is going to increase and total costs are going to increase and faster. We plot this MC, we usually plot it on the quantity of pieces, by the way. We don't plot it on an employee axis. That's like something to watch out for. As you go between that third and that fourth employee, so between that 60 and that 80 pieces, it looks like you are getting falling marginal product, and that increases your marginal cost. You see, that must be the case because this is the equation for marginal cost. Total cost is always changing by the same amount because all the workers are being paid the same. So I hope you found that video useful, and let me know if you have any more questions, any other feedback. I can do some more videos on this. And thanks so much. Otherwise, bye!